how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
Wonderful.
Oh, it looks like you muted yourself.
Yep, I did. I said we need a little change up in our meet date and time. So we typically meet on a Wednesday, and so we have a couple of different events going on the next couple of weeks. So we thought we'd do it on a Monday and see what we could capture. So it'll be recorded, so we'll replay that if as needed.
Sounds good.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here really quick. And yes. All right, I'm going to go ahead and begin. Hi, my name is Michelle. Welcome to InView's live demo that we do often throughout the month, at least twice a month. And today we are talking about getting started. So what we're going to chat about is kind of how to set up and maximize the sales that you have utilizing the platform, and how to set up and assign a price list to an event, and some of the basics of how to manage the client's favorites and ratings across the galleries and IPS, and also how to fulfill your manual orders. And maybe some of the best practices at utilizing InView's IPS and some of the online galleries and mobile apps as well. So whether you are new to InView or you just need a refresher, that's kind of what we're going to go over today, and just kind of talk about the sales experience with InView and just the basics of getting started. So feel free to go ahead and sign in if you have an InView account and follow along with us. Otherwise, we'll do some questions in the chats or Q&A at the end. Otherwise, we'll get started here. All right. So let me go ahead and turn this off for a moment. All right. So just to talk a little bit about the details as far as the total sales experience and kind of the value and what we believe to be true based off of, sitting with photographers and talking with them for quite a long time, just so that we can get an idea of what the best practices are, right? So InView total sales experience, what we want to do is make you look great, simplify your life so that you have time to do the things that are important to you. But in addition to that, to grow revenue per image that you upload to us. And kind of how that sales work flows is you have the initial consult, whether that is over the phone or in person. It's kind of that first phone call that you have with your client. From the time that you have that, you go into your session. So you photograph your customer, and then you upload your images to InView. And when you upload the images one time, you can access the IPS or the client galleries. It doesn't really matter how you start. We just know that the in-person sales, whether you're doing it in person or remote, is going to be the best way to generate revenue. So the IPS session, so you go through that and you have the ratings, the favorites, and then you have your orders, and then you have a client's second sale, and that is going to be whether you're sharing digital, sorry, I'm going to mute. Okay. My apologies, just making some mutations there. Okay, so once you do the IPS session, then you can utilize the client gallery, whether it's digital delivery files or it's a second sale along with the digital files, right? So that's kind of how that flows. And so when you create the client gallery, we can do that using the client's favorites and ratings from the orders, and you can also swap that. So it goes both ways. So if you do an online gallery first and you want to move some of those ratings and favorites into an IPS session, you have that option, right? And then of course we have the mobile app as an additional sales and marketing tool, as well as a review. If you are already with InView and you know what review is, we remarket to your clients after the duration of the event plus 13 months. That is something that we do in the spring and fall when people are looking for reasons to purchase. But in addition to that, you have the option to customize your review, so you can set that date. All right. So that kind of talks about a little bit of the flow of how we've designed InView to work. And again, you can customize that flow to what works best for you. The events that contain images and galleries, so the IPS, client gallery, and mobile apps, all of those have images. So the images stay in one location. And so, you have the option to do emails for favorites, ratings, and orders. And then you have 2 favorites, ratings, and orders. So then you have the gallery categories and the event images. So those are kind of the different locations of where your images are copied to. Okay, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. All right, and then the key ideas of image management. So when we get in here, I'm just kind of giving you an overview of where those things are going to be located within the system. So you have your favorites and ratings are all listed underneath your client's email address. So that's why it's very important to have an email address from your customer, whether you're doing in-person sales or an online gallery. All right. And okay, so that'll be towards the end. So let me get started here with our admin. Excuse me. So any questions about kind of the workflow, just how that works and kind of what we're going to talk about today? Let me make sure that I don't have any questions here in the chat. Not so far. All right. So we're going to get started. This is the InView admin area. And we like to kind of do just a quick overview of where you can locate different functionalities within the InView platform. When you log into InView, you are going to have your manage account right here. So this is just kind of a brief overview of where you would customize your branding and studio information, as well as modify and make updates to your payment methods is going to be in the billing and payment information. If you choose to change your plan option, you have that right here. You can go in there and I'll take a look at that here in just a moment, or manage any of your account passwords specifically. All right. And then we're going to touch here on the Gallery Manager overview. In the Gallery Manager, you're going to find that right here. And this is where all of your events that you create are located. So you have a whole list. And if you're just getting started, you may not have that many in there at this time, but this is where you will see all of those events that you create, and they're all going to be located here. And that includes the in-person sales, the online gallery, mobile apps will all be listed right here. All right, so we'll talk about that here in just a moment. One way that you can organize your events is under collections. So if you wanted to create a collection, you can. So if you want to keep all your family portrait sessions and events in one folder, because then you could just go to that specific collection. That also works really well with another feature that we have available that I'm going to share with you here in a moment. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start with creating an event. And there's a couple of ways that you can create an event from the admin. So if you look here, when you log in on the main page, you have the option to create from this button right here, or this is more of a universal button here that's a little more common. When you hit create, you can create an IPS session or a client gallery or a mobile app. So let's go in and create an in-person sales session. And with that, it's going to give you a couple of questions here. And one would be the event name. I can just go ahead and give it a name. Right, and the event date. So this could be today's date, or this can also be if you know you're doing a sales session on Friday. Let's just choose that date. Okay. And one thing to keep an eye out for, we do have video and we have some knowledge-based article and help on your journey. So I'm going to next. All right. So here is where you have the option to upload your images, or if you are wanting to upload those later, or you are utilizing the Lightroom plugin that we have available. I know those are things that we often talk about in different demos throughout the month. We try to focus in on one particular thing, but this is kind of getting started. So we're going to upload images today. If you utilize the coming soon, this is for if you're presenting the login information to gather email addresses for the client gallery or for the in-person sales session prior to the images being taken and then uploaded. So you have that option. It's a great tool to utilize as well. But I'm going to go ahead and select upload. And if you look here, you can upload original resolution or low resolution. And you want to look down here at the bottom, and this is some important information. Currently, JPEG, JPG files are the extension that we accept, and then make sure they're in sRGB. And this is how the order of the files we prefer to be organized, just to help with the sorting. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and upload the low resolution. I see we do have a question, so I'm going to pause and just take a quick glance at it. And then the question is, if you use the Lightroom plugin to upload, are you given image size option, high res versus low resolution? Yes, so whatever our uploader will accept whatever size files that you deliver to us. And one of the things to keep in mind is that InView makes a copy of your images. So if you upload original resolution, we're going to make a copy of that based on the actions that you're utilizing. So if you're going to upload original resolutions and you're using the in-person sales gallery and the online gallery for presentation, our system knows to modify that file size for the presentation, right? And making you look good and your images look well during presentation, as well as making a copy as far as the original resolution size for printing. So if you're doing automatic fulfillment through InView, which the product is produced at H&H Color Lab, we're in the same family company, so that we'll have that size file for that, as well as for the mobile apps. I hope that makes sense. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and since we are doing this together, I'm going to do low resolution files, and it looks like I have a folder here of images on my desktop already. And you can also drag the file over, or if you have pre-categorized images for, per se, a wedding gallery, you can have those organized in a file structure of getting ready, the ceremony, portraits, the reception, and you can drag over that parent file and it will create those categories for you. And I'll show you what I'm talking about right here. All right, so if you look here, this is your event dashboard. And this is where you would take action on setting up an in-person sales session and all the settings, as well as a client gallery and mobile app. So if you go over here to images, this is where all of your images are going to be located. So any modifications to the images within the organizer is going to be here. And this is your master folder. And so if you were to choose to do categories, or you pre-categorize the upload, those are going to show up right here under the sales session. So if you see a in-person sales session and then this little plus sign, you can create a category. For example, getting ready, or maybe for a high school senior, it's the, the blue background. And you can password protect those if you're doing more of a high profile event, or you want to organize multiple attendees in a category, you can do that. All right, so if you see here, it's right here. So that's going to show up in their event when we get started with that. But that's one way that you can create categories within your image organizer. Any sort options you can do here as far as your images, but you can also click on an image and drag it and move it around if you wanted to kind of modify the sequence that it's in. You can also download any of the images that you've uploaded right here at the top here under download. So you can select all, or you can select which ones. Now, if you were to put an image in the trash, it doesn't necessarily go away. You would have to actually go in here and physically delete it. But once it's in the trash can, it's not going to show up within your gallery, right? So I just want to make sure I was clear on that. And then if you needed to add any additional images, you have the add images at the top right here. So if you needed to, maybe you missed one or two or wanted to add a few in, you can do that. All right. All right, and we talked about clicking here for favorites and ratings and folders. You will see the client's email here shortly once we create the event. All right, so I'm now going to go back in and create the event itself by going to setup for in-person sales session, because that's what we're going to do first. So we have, you want to put the customer's first name. Just put mine in here. And so remember when I said the email is important? And the reason it is because it records every action taken for that specific customer, but also for that event. So if you're doing an in-person sales session for testing at in-vu.com, you want to make sure that it's the right email for the right customer. Okay. All right. Presets. So this is something that is important, I think, to save you time. And you can go in and set up a preset, and those include any quick settings and save themes, which is the look and the feel of the event. And so you can save them for different events. So you might have one for your high school seniors, you might have one for IPS, you might have one for digital delivery, or even a friends and family. So that way you don't have to do the settings every single time, but we're going to manually set those up together today, the event, so that you get a feel for how that goes. All right, so here is the presentation workflow for an in-person sales session. We have the in-view suggested, but you can also create your own. And if you create your own, what it does is just gives you the option to change the flow as far as, do you want to go to calling first and skip this slideshow? You can do that. We are going to go the in-view suggested happy path here and hit continue. All right. And here, if I want to use the slideshow, I can use images from the event, or I can provide a link to Animoto or YouTube or Vimeo. But I'm going to do images, and I'm going to select all the images. And again, if you see here, you have categories. So if you created a category that was per se, maybe slideshow images or photographers' top picks, or a sneak peek, you can have those images in that folder and just select those. But I'm going to select all of them. And here is where you would decide your initial culling view. This can be modified during the sales session, and I'll show you that. But here, if you're used to maybe Lightroom or Adobe, you might use the 4 stars or 5 stars. If you're used to going through and rating them yes or no, or yes, no, maybe, then you can select that, or you don't have to have none and just use the favorites folders or the favorites. So I'm going to do the yes, no, maybe, and then also choose the thumbnail view for my initial culling. But again, you can modify this throughout the sales session. All right. And some of these settings that we're going through is what you would use to create a preset. So you would go back and make sure that this was included in your preset. All right. So turning the shopping cart on, making sure that you have the right price list. So if you have several price lists, then you would select the one that you want attached to this specific event. InView does have suggested price lists built in that you can work from, or you can create your own. So we're going to do default price list with products at this time. And currently I do have select show pricing on, but I will go ahead and turn that off for my sales session and turn it on when I'm wanting to showcase those. And again, that's, up to you. You have control over that. All right. So fulfillment option, IPS is manual fulfillment. You can choose to select shipping. So if you are going to have these items shipped directly to your client, or you want to charge them for shipping, you have that option. And then cropping, I turn that on for in-person sales just so that I can go in and modify the cropping during the sales session so they can see what that looks like. So I don't have to get out of the program to show that. All right, so I'm going to hit continue here. Calibrating real view. So real view is if you are displaying the images that are projected either on a television or a projector screen in real size. So you have that option. Is there anybody on this call that it currently does projection sales as far as showing in real size on a wall? I just kind of want to glance. All right. So you can set this up. We'll skip this for now, and if we want to come back to it at the end, I can kind of show you how to do that. It looks like not yet, but okay, very good. That would be very nice, and I'll showcase that. So projection sales might be a little bit harder on a Zoom, but let's think about that. So if you're projecting it and you're doing it through Zoom, it's whatever size would be the client's monitor that they're viewing on, right? So you might be best only doing that in person if you have, a sales room, or maybe you're in person with your client in their home and you know what size TV they have, or what size projector screen they have. Okay. All right, so we will skip this for the moment, but it's a really easy setup, to calibrate, your studio. Basically, what you do is you mirror this onto your screen, and then you measure that line, and then you would enter in the inches here. So if you have a 60-inch TV, then that will calibrate the size. So you can only show up to that size when you're using the real view. All right, so moving forward, we now have all of our settings over here to the left-hand side. And this is going to be the presentation workflow that we are going through here. So you can modify the welcome screen. So the welcome screen is where the initial view that your clients will see when you start the sales session. So under the welcome screen, you want to make sure that you save any changes so that you can see that over here. The full screen, we offer multiple styles, so you can do a framed image. It might take a second to populate that. You could do split screen, simple, a mosaic, or just no image at all. Okay, so when you change those, like I said, if I wanted to go into framed, I need to save so that it'll showcase that framed, right? So it'll show that. Okay. The most popular is typically the full screen, and you guys can play with that and see what feels best to you. And then the alignment. So whether you want the title to be in the middle, the top, or the bottom. So getting started is right in the middle of the frame, but you can modify that. And then also, do you want it in the center or the bottom left or to the right? So you can do set that as well. All right, and then here is where you choose your what I would say is a feature photo or your welcome image. So you can go into edit and choose multiple images if you would like. So I am going to go ahead and choose this image. I'm going to select this image, and you can set the focal point of the image as well. So you can add multiple. I typically use one, but you can use both. And again, I need to make sure I saved, if you save for previewing, and so that it will save. All right, so the image fade. So if you wanted the welcome screen image to fade, you have that option. And then the fade background color, the title line, and then the font, and then you can add additional. So let's just go ahead and say this is Jordan. And then if you wanted to, you could put 2024 for senior. And you could change these fonts here. Let's just say that, and you could change the size. So that's how you would modify those. All right. And I need to put her, I keep leaving off her, the N in her name. Okay. So I notice now I don't, because I chose that image, right? I don't want to have it right in the center. So I'm going to move the alignment to the top and then the left. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to go down here just a little bit further after I've done my fonts, and you can change the color of the font if you'd like. The title here. Music, we do allow royalty-free music for the welcome screen. So if they come into the sales session, or maybe they're waiting on you to get started, it's kind of has some music playing with it, and you can select that here. If you upload your logo, you don't necessarily need to have the name here, so you can take that off, and that can always be part of your preset as well. All right, so it looks like we have our welcome screen set up. And now we're going to go back into the slideshow just to modify that. So we're doing the a custom. You can put in the video here if you wanted to, but we are sticking with our in-view slideshow. So I'm going to modify. We can do fade. I'm going to go into 1 time per image, and then you can select the royalty-free music for the slideshow as well, and then image fit to screen or fill screen. I always select fit to screen because you never know what monitor it's going to be on, especially if you're in someone else's home or you're doing remote. So I always hit fit to screen, and that will also not crop off vertical images as well. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, so one thing that I didn't show you, and here, let me move this so that it can move out of the way. Okay, so if you look here down here at the bottom, you can organize the image organization for your slideshow as well. So that's how you would do that. You would just click on here and drag, and it would move those images around for you. Okay. All right, so we've set up the slideshow. Now we're going to move into culling. And the reason we're coming back to culling, even though we selected in the beginning the yes, no, maybe, and the image culling view, we have the option ahead of time to set up favorites folders. And this tip is and feature is very helpful when you're in the sales presentation. It helps you to stay as the photographer or the salesperson organized, right? So you want to make sure that if you want to utilize those, you do it ahead of time. You can do it on the fly within the sales session itself, and I'll show you that. But let's just say that most of your packages or products that you offer is going to include wall art. And let's say that it's going to include gift prints. So if there's always the loose 8x10s, 5x7s for grandparents, and I call those gift prints. Then maybe it's an album or a book, and you want to keep those organized, right? We'll put album. And you can put an image limit here if you wanted to on any of those folders. All right, so now that that's set, I can now go back, and now we'll focus on room view, which is another important feature that we not only have as a tool for in-person sales, but we also have this as an option in the path of the consumer for the online galleries. If you choose to use that for product sales as well. All right, so room view, you want to make sure that's toggled on if you want to utilize it. The rooms, we do have stock rooms, so you can toggle on and off the rooms that you would like to include. And then, of course, any event rooms. So if these have been uploaded during an event, whether it was an IPS or a client gallery, those are going to show up right there. You can also upload your own stock rooms or your client's room right here, and that'll show up. Something else that we have here that is a great sales tool and kind of a best practice is Room View Direct. So if you have 4 sales sessions that week, you want to educate your client ahead of time in communication. Hey, you know what? After your sales session or even prior, I'm going to send you a link via email or text, and it's going to have you take a picture of your wall using an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, or measure an item in the room and send that back to me through this quick application here. And we're going to help design the wall art for your home in the places that you would like that to be. So it's really simple to utilize, and we have some great tips on how to do that. So if anybody wants me to send that to them, we can. It's a feature we do focus on in other demos, but if you do want me to send it to you, I can certainly do that to show you how that works. But it is great because what happens is when they send the room back to you, they use their email address. And that email address is tied to your in-person sales session. So when you start your sales session, maybe they come back a week later to view or later that week, their rooms are already in there, and you can even pre-design some wall art of what you think would be a great, design for them in their home. That way it might save some time and they're like, I love it. I don't have to make a decision, and then it's, there and ready to go. So that's just a cool tip and tool. All right, so room view, we've gone through that. And if you didn't calibrate initially real view, you can do that in this section as well. All right, so now we're going to go down to the general settings. And I know this is a little more in depth and detailed, but I want to make sure that you guys have kind of a rundown to get started when you're creating an IPS session or a client gallery. So selling, I know we already talked about the price list and showing it on or off, but when you open up the settings, you do have additional options. So for example, you want to require a minimum for a checkout. This is kind of, maybe they have a purchase minimum that they have to fulfill, whether it's during an IPS session or an online gallery. You have the option to toggle that on, and when you do, you can put the amount there. Okay. All right. So again, if you wanted to modify any shipping options and cropping. And then in addition to that, discounts. So if you wanted to offer a discount, you have that option to apply that here for the sales session. You can create from this page. It'll take you to another page to create those. But use cases would be maybe to book your session, they prepay you for a purchase minimum. So part of that goes to their session fee, and then the other part applies towards a purchase. So you could put a dollar amount or a discount in there, so that will apply. And you can always do that as part of a quick setting as well. All right, so I'm going to move on to saved. And if you have questions about discounts, I'm happy to help you. You can always hit this help. Okay. All right. So it looks like we've gone through the selling portion. Now we're going to move on here to theming. And we'll just do a quick overview on this. So the colors are based on the entire event and where it goes. So when you hover over the question mark and click there, it says this is the main background color used in the thumbnail display menu, module boxes, checkout, and typically just black and white, but you can modify those. You have to be very intentional about this because sometimes you can hide important buttons, if you're not careful. So for example, the accent is your menu button for your sales session. And if you see here, it kind of has the banner. And you can save these based off of your branding, or maybe it's a senior girl versus a senior guy, and you want the fonts and the colors to kind of go differently. You have that option. All right, so that is the color themes. And then brand and studio information. So because InView allows you to have multiple brands within the same event, you might have multiple here for the specific types of event you're doing. So you can select what brand you want to go with that session. Okay. And then the image display, this is the gutter size in the thumbnail view. So you can change the size here. You can turn off show file names if you want. And if you're doing in-person sales and you want to have a watermark on there, you have that option. You can create the size, the location, and the opacity of your watermark. That can be there. This is really popular for in-person sales if you're doing mostly remote. Okay. All right. So now it looks like we are pretty good to go. The links and videos would be, your slideshows or any additional links that you would like to share. All right, so it looks like you have this all set up. Do you have any questions about how to set up an event, particularly the in-person sales? So we'll go through there. Okay, so we will quickly begin the sales session. And you want to always make sure that you are hitting the begin sales session from up here and not just doing a sales session in the preview. And the reason why is because it will not collect all of that information, right? So I'm going to go ahead and hit begin sales session. And what I'm doing is I want to just kind of show you brief run through to gather the ratings and favorites and how that corresponds into a client gallery. Okay, so you're going to make sure that your customer's email address is in here. You can have multiple customers. So right now we're going to do a single screen. And for those of you that want to do dual view, which is display, in Studio have the customer's view on one screen and yours on the other, or if you're doing remote IPS sales, you would utilize dual view. So you would send them a link. So I'm going to show you single screen just so I can show you the ratings and the favorites and how those correspond with a client gallery. So if you have questions on dual view and want to see that, we can switch over to that. Okay, so single screen, the slideshow, it runs through the slideshow. This is your menu button. It's going to take you anywhere you want to go during your sales session. We do have quick shortcuts here to showcase. And then in addition to that, any saved rooms or your price list, shop the stores right here. And we can turn the pricing on or off. And so I'm going to just continue through the slideshow. And now we're in the initial culling view. And in the initial culling view is where you can favorite and rate your images. Okay, here, let me get out of this full screen here. Okay, there we go. So when you're rating them, you'll see the smiley faces. So we're just going to go through a few of these so that we can rate them. And all of your filters are going to be down here at the bottom. Okay. And then all of your favorites folders are right here. So remember, we pre-created these and then you can create any on the fly. So once you've rated them and you go through and you favorite them, you can put them in multiple folders, which is really nice. Okay. And it just kind of keeps everything really organized, and they don't have to go in every favorites folder because maybe they're only getting that as a piece of wall art. Okay. All right. So now that we've gone through that and your customer has added some product, we'll add some because I want to show you the order receipts. Add some product to the cart. And petals. All right. So now that we are done, we can view the cart, and I'm going to check out. And there's a lot of details on IPS and how to do IPS, and that's in another session. But I just want to make sure that we go through and give you the rundown here. Okay, so I'm going to do in-person payment and place the order. All right, so now I am going to go back to my admin, and I'm going to show you where you would see the images or the favorites and ratings. Okay, so under images, so see, we've done an in-person sales session, and I'm going to go back to the images, and when I click here, it now shows my customer's email address, It shows that they did an in-person sales session. It shows the folders that they have, so that what items are in each of those folders, what their ratings are, and then what they purchased. So when you click on the order, it says the details of the items, and then the images will show up in those folders. Okay. All right, so that is where you would find those ratings and favorites. Now, creating a client gallery for a second sale or even initial sale is very similar to an IPS session. So when I go to set up, I can select all of the images, or I can select the client's choices. So if I want to collect the yeses and the maybes, and I want to include the favorites folder images and the cart purchased images, and I'm going to put those into a gallery. So the category is copy IPS categories to the gallery if there was any. And then I can hide in all images and then continue. All right, and here's where it's going to say, okay, how do you want to display these as far as in the event? So because I have them all together, I want to make sure that I select them all, go to continue. And now if I have a preset set for the gallery, so you might have a preset for the second sale and what that price list looks like and what products you're offering. All right, so we'll skip that for now. And then if it's a sensitive event, you can modify and toggle that on, include password protection for your online gallery, and again, watermarks. And then your client access page, which is attached to, you have the option to attach to your website. All right, so selling, again, very similar. So whether you want to do automatic fulfillment or manual fulfillment, if you're doing a manual fulfillment, the orders will stop, it'll flag you, and you'll know exactly what you need to do to take care of that order. Otherwise, if it's automatic fulfillment, and those are items that can be fulfilled automatically through InView, like metals, prints, and gallery wraps. It'll just give you an order number and that we're taking care of that. But if it is a manual fulfillment order and an automatic fulfillment order, meaning you have it set for automatic, but you might have some custom or pro-custom products on there, it's going to notify you that InView's taking care of some of those products, but there's some that you need to take care of. So this is something that you want to be intentional about, okay? You want to participate in review, you have that option. So you can customize the dates. All right. So now, again, you're going to go through and customize the look and the feel. The only difference here in this event is going to be your access and security and how you protect the event, and then also your digital downloads. So if you're delivering digital downloads, we have lots of videos on how to manage that. We did that one the week before last. And so you can let me know if that's something you want to learn more about. But if you do want to offer that, you would just turn on the digital download option, and then there's several different setting options to apply for digital downloads and delivery. And that could be, this is all going to be prepaid or free downloads. Okay, otherwise you would add that as a product to your price list. All right, and so once you're done, you know, kind of going through and modifying and making sure everything's good with your gallery, you're going to want to make sure that within the preview, the client gallery preview for the gallery is where you would publish that event is right here, or schedule a publish or coming soon would all be right here. So it's before you get back to your event dashboard. So we're going to hit publish. And now I have the option to share. By sharing that, you have the several share options. You can also customize your share email right here and save it as a template so that you have that for next time. Or you can simply just use InView's email and just put your email addresses to share it with right there, and you'll be good to go. All right. So that is how you create a client gallery from ratings and favorites from the IPS session. Any questions on that particular flow? All right, not so far. Thanks for hanging out there with me. All right, so now that we've created an IPS session, we've created a client gallery from the favorites and ratings. And now we're going to go and kind of look at the order and what happens to the order once it's placed, whether it's IPS or a client gallery, and just kind of where that flow is. All right. So I'm going to go back to the event dashboard, and I can find the price list, or not the price list, but the invoice under loading stats. So it shows you the customer's email address, how long their session was, and then their order numbers. So that's one location, right? If I wanted to go back, so let's just go back here to the admin. And the reason why I'm going back to the admin is because I want to take you to the orders tab. And the order you can get to from the main page under orders. And you can go to order summary, but order activity is typically where you would get the information and details that you would like. So I'm going to find today's order, and I have lots of filters here. So if I wanted to, I can change this to specific toggles. All right, so I'm going to view this particular price list. Not price list, invoice. Why do I keep saying price list? Invoice. All right, so there's my customer's order number. And if you look here, it says fulfill through InView, and that's because it was an in-person sales session, right? And so I did an in-person payment, so I'm going to mark it as paid. And then it has all the details that I need for my order. And I'm going to go ahead and change this status. And the reason I'm going to change the status is because I'm going to say, okay, I've done the sales session. Everything looks good. I'm going to go to the final retouching. So this is what I need to do next. Okay. All right. So when I go back into the activity and I go into search, what do I need to do to get retouched today? What's my, I'm going to work on final retouching today. So when I click on that, it's going to pull up all of my orders that need final retouching. So I view that order. So I can download the images from their favorites and ratings, remember, under images, or I can download the images directly from the order receipt. So let's just say I downloaded it, the final retouching is done. I can now replace the image in the receipt. So I can replace this item only, all items in this order, or all orders from the image gallery that have not yet been submitted to the lab. So meaning any additional sales of that particular image. And once I've replaced it and all is good, I have the option to change my status to complete or sent to the lab, or I can fulfill through InView, which is H&H. And if it's products that you can select them and hit checkout, and it'll send it right to the lab. Otherwise, you can go in here. Either way, you can change the status. And that's what's pretty cool, is it just kind of gives you a little bit of a workflow. And so you can mark that as completed. So that order is complete, and it's going to show that in your activity status. So you know that that's been done. So I'm going to go to completed. Let me see that it doesn't require an actions because it says it's completed. So now it shows that it's completed. Okay. So that kind of shows you a little bit about, how the order fulfillment and the stats are. Otherwise, you would utilize InView's rows, and you can order directly through InView for, some boutique products, or you can go directly to H&H and order your products, or another lab of your choice, of course. All right, so any questions on the order receipt and the fulfillment of that? All right, very good. Okay, so now let's just touch base on kind of a few things here, getting paid. So if you are new to InView and you have not yet set up your direct deposit for ACH so that you can get paid out for your sales sessions, if you're using our merchant through IPS, or if you are using the online galleries for a storefront as well, then you want to make sure you get that set up. And this is where you do that under Get Paid. And then, of course, any digital download management and tax reporting, or you can update your credit card on file right here under Resources. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to touch base on is the price list. This will be a quick overview just so that you know how and where to do the price list setup. We have some great tutorials, but you can also call our live support, or if you're interested in the live demo on setting up a price list, I can get you a link to that. And it's usually about a 30-minute, so you can catch a really quick demo on that. All right, so Price List Manager is going to be under the gallery title. And when you click on that, again, if you're new, you're going to see suggested price list from InView, as well as default price list with product. So you can create a new one by just going to the Create button right here. And you can also create Pro Custom Products and Custom Products. So you can be as detailed with the product. So you can have a form builder that asks you to fill out, what product it is, the details, and the questions and answers that you need from your customer, right? So we'll touch on that briefly just to see what that looks like. All right, to set up a price list, we have the InView suggested, of course, here, and we'll just go to portraits. And then I'm going to open this up. So any prints that you want to add, you can add them here. It'll take you to, if you're using InView, you can go into the category and add those over. Right? And then that would be the same with let me go back here. I know if I added one, I'd have to go into that section, but metals, all these categories are already preset on the price list, and all you have to do is modify this to your customer. And you can edit that and modify the description as well. Scroll down, we have wall collections already preset for you that you can modify, but then you can also add additional products. So if I add, let's just say albums to this, it looks like I already have some preset as a Pro Custom product. I just hit add and it applies it. But the custom products themselves, and like I was saying in the form builder, let's just look at this particular album here. So this is a overview of the form builder when you create a Pro Custom product. So you give the product a name, a base price, and then all the details, and you can set a custom category if you'd like. But you want to have a description. You can even put images of the product. If you don't have some of those, we can help with some of those. And it looks like we have a quick question. So, okay, yep, absolutely. Thank you, Dee. I know this is a long one, so I appreciate you guys hanging in, and we'll get that recording over to you. All right. So here is all the details. So it's pretty pretty easy to do and to set up. It might take a little time, just depending on how much product you want to offer that's pro versus regular products. All right, so price list, you can create as many as you want. You know, there's advantages of, you know, custom prints and packages. And one advantage is going to be if you have a package per se, or a wall collection, like a framed wall collection, and you have an unusual size that's in the package or in the wall collection, and you don't want it to be a product that is ordered loose by itself because it's this really odd size, you can hide that from the consumer. So you can click on it and it won't even show that, but it's still available in the package or wall collection. So that's a nice little nuance. So you know, the automatic fulfilled products, you know, prints, metals, gallery wraps, those are all really nice. The advantage is that it's can be automatically fulfilled and barely touched depending on your, you know, your workflow. All right, and then just a quick touch on mobile apps. I'm going to go back to our main page. And remember that create button is pretty much anywhere. So you can create a mobile app on the fly. And the mobile app itself, when you go to create the mobile app, it's going to ask you if you want to pull images from an existing event or upload new. The upload is very similar. You just add what images you want to the app. And then continue, and you give it a name, and you have the option to sell this as a product if you want. You could put a dollar amount on it. So maybe it's only available for $100, you know, added to a package, or you can use it as a purchase bonus, which is a great sales tool, right? All right, and then you can also select quick settings. So it's pretty self-explanatory. And you can require a password if you want or not. You can have it expire or sell it as a product. Dynamic grid allows you to do the horizontal and vertical. You could do a branded, you know, app icon as well. All right, so it looks like we've got that. All right, and then again, the settings. So you have all the event settings as far as purchasing. We want those watermarked? And then the app icon, like I was telling you, if you wanted to use the brand icon or a feature photo. Brand, what brand do you want to use? And then the look and the feel and share. So there's text sharing, and then again, you want to publish. All right, so there's lots of nuances to that, and here's a link. Okay. All right, so any questions about the mobile app itself? All right, that sounds good. Is there any questions about how to get started and what you need to do, or anything else that you want me to touch on, or I can share with you videos of? All right. Doesn't look like there's any more questions on that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And what I want to do is just let you guys know that we do have our Facebook group. It's called Your InView Space. So you have the option to join that, and you'll get notified of replays and any additional information, kind of a way for you guys to share amongst InView users. Okay, so we'll put a replay of this in there so that you'll have access to that. And let me know what you would like to learn more about so that I could get that on the schedule. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks, Erin. Have a great day.